Welcome. This is Amy K, aka KYMÅ. I'm a DJ, a music producer, meditation and breathwork teacher, and all-around sonic explorer. Today we're going to be talking about mental health, mindfulness, and music production. And we'll be exploring some techniques that we can easily integrate into our studio sessions for making music. And we can also use these in life in general. So for me, while I was in school for music production, I was suffering from depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress. My family has a history of addiction, and I grew up in an environment that did not teach me the best coping mechanisms for mental health. And these issues were really prominent in my childhood. And it started to influence and affect the way that I was thinking and how I was feeling in all of the creative activities that I was exploring. When I was 16, my older brother was killed, and when I was 21, my dad died. So both of these things had huge impacts on my mental health as well as other instances in my life. And while I was in production school for music, I was noticing the way that sound and music could be used to help me to feel better. And I became obsessed with researching and learning more about how we can combine sound, rhythm, and music for the overall well-being of the human body. And as I noticed this started to help me, then I was able to guide others into these experiences in group settings, in different ways with music, DJing for meditation experiences, and now I'm producing beats for people to breathe to. So it's been an interesting and different way of applying the music production teachings in a musical way, but also in a way that helps with mental health. So what we're going to be exploring together today is what rhythm has to do with mental health and music production, how we can identify our own personal patterns with mindfulness, how we can get in sync with our own unique rhythms with meditation, and how we can create healthy habits that we can easily repeat. When we bring awareness of our mental health into our studio sessions, we find tools that we can call on to stay present, creative, and healthy in all aspects of our life. So these aren't just confined to our studio sessions, but they can help us in a variety of ways. If you don't have one handy, grab a pen and a paper to take some notes, because we're about to get deep and real with a whole lot of sonic exploration in these next 30 minutes together. I am originally from California, and I listened to a lot of rap and hip hop growing up. And one of my favorite artists, the wise West Coast OG Nate Dogg, once said, "Rhythm is life, and life is rhythm." In music, rhythm is a strong, regular, repeated pattern of movement or sound. In life, rhythm is a regularly recurring sequence of events, actions, or processes. So what can rhythm tell us about our mental health? It can tell us a lot. Have you ever been creatively blocked in a session? You just couldn't seem to get out of your head about something, you felt stuck or anxious or depressed or unsure while you're creating your music? You felt like you were in a funk, you weren't in your flow. If so, does this happen often? And how often do you feel this way? Being creatively blocked is just one way in our studio sessions that indicates that we are not fully present. It indicates that we might be worrying about the future, we might be fixated on the past, stuck on a thought, or some other form of mental stagnation that's not allowing our creativity to flow. The origin of the word rhythm actually means to flow. If we don't feel like things are flowing, this is a general indication that we are out of sync somewhere in our lives. So then how do we get back into our flow? We can first identify what is causing us to fall out of sync by sitting with ourselves, by allowing ourselves the time and the space to just be with ourselves. And this sometimes is the most challenging part. But we have to do this in order to become aware of any unhealthy patterns that we might be repeating on a daily basis that can cause this stagnation or a creative block. So to find out what's keeping us from finding our flow or accessing our creativity in a studio session, we can explore mindfulness to identify our own personal patterns. And what mindfulness is, it's the simple observation of your body, of your thoughts, of your emotions, and your energy. So it's a passive experience where you're becoming the observer of yourself and all of the things that are constantly occurring without our awareness. We're starting to direct our awareness or our attention to these things. And before we become the actual observer, we're going to put this into practice in today's session. We're going to talk a little bit about the brain and body connection and visualize the invisible, which is the sound that we're working with. So as music producers, as DJs, as audio engineers, artists, musicians, we are working in the dimension of sound. And sound is in itself invisible. We can hear it, but we don't always see it. And when we don't see sound, sometimes we forget the impact that it's having on our physical, mental, and emotional bodies. What we think, what we say, what we sing, all of these things affect our physical body and emotions. And what we feel physically influences our emotional and mental health. These different aspects of ourselves work together synergistically. This is what we call holistic approach to mental health. So as you explore music production with different DAWs, I personally use Ableton. If you use Logic, Fruity Loops, as a music producer, whatever software you're using, you'll find a bunch of plugins that allow you to see sound, whether it's an EQ, an auto filter, an auto pan. With technology these days, we realize that sound has an imprint on the air that we don't see, but we hear it. So as you explore sound, starting to think about the ways in which it's impacting us even when we can't see it is going to be really helpful to understanding our own rhythm and what is influencing that rhythm. You can hear me talking right now with my words, but can you hear what I'm thinking? It's obvious that words are audible and that we hear them. It's not so obvious that thoughts create a vibration that we hear inaudibly. These thought vibrations now have the ability to be measured and seen by neuroscientists, just as we see sound signals in our equalizers and in our audio production technologies. There's also a really cool phenomena of the visual representation of sound, which is called cymatics. If you do a quick Google search of cymatics, you'll find some beautiful images of art created by sound vibrations on water. Science is proving that thoughts and emotions emit subtle, inaudible vibrations and influence our cells just as the audible vibrations do in cymatics to water. The human body is made up of mostly water. Thus, what we think, say, and feel has a subtle vibrational impression on the cells of our minds and our bodies. So this leads to the importance of becoming aware of what we're thinking and where those thoughts are even coming from, and taking inventory for our mental health. Depending on the tone, frequency, or texture of the thought vibrations determines how it's going to influence our mental health. You can check in with the tones and the textures by asking yourself, what do I say to myself? What do I think to myself? Am I kind to myself? Am I unkind to myself? What am I thinking about most often? Who or what am I thinking about? What are the words I'm choosing when I am thinking? How am I speaking to myself in my thoughts? And are these even my thoughts? Was it something I heard? Was it something I read? Was it a meme? Is it song lyrics that are stuck in my head? Is it something I watched on TV? And starting to question the way that you're thinking, the words that you're choosing with your thoughts, and noticing the vibrational impact these thoughts have on the physical body or your emotional well-being. So to find out what sorts of sonic impressions are influencing our bodies and minds, we take a microscope to these thoughts and we mindfully watch them. We don't judge them as good or bad. We just start to become aware of what thoughts are there. And this starts to reveal mental patterns, emotional patterns, physical and energetic patterns. If something repeats itself enough times, this is creating a rhythm and this is creating a pattern. Some things we repeat are good. Some things we repeat are doing us a disservice. Sometimes they're making us feel less than good in a variety of ways, depending on the words that you're choosing or the stories that you're repeating in your head. So just becoming aware of yourself and those words that you're choosing is going to help you take inventory of your thoughts and mental health. Another way we can become aware of this is going to be sitting in stillness. It might be challenging for some, but this is how we get to the rhythm. And this is how we start to notice our own unique rhythms. And this is where we can access our creativity. And this is where we can get back into our flow. So what you can do now is start to quietly sit with yourself with your eyes closed. If you want to find a comfortable seat wherever you are, it's okay to close your eyes. And you can just start to bring your attention to the way that you're breathing. And the breath is going to be your anchor for bringing your energy into this present moment with your body. Oftentimes, anxiety is worry about the future. Depression is fixation on the past. So if we want to bring ourselves out of either of those states of being, bringing ourselves to the present is going to be the most beneficial and helpful. And the best way to bring yourself into the present moment is to focus on breath. It's simple. Some say it can be boring, but it's powerful. So taking your time with the eyes closed, gently and non-judgmentally, just as if you're watching a movie with your eyes closed, you're just going to observe the ebb and the flow of your breath. Are you breathing in through your nose or through your mouth? Are you breathing into your chest, or does the breath go all the way into the belly? When you inhale, does your belly expand? And when you exhale, do you let the belly contract? And again, just gently and non-judgmentally observing how you breathe. Our breath is the most consistent rhythm, along with our heartbeat. So checking in with this rhythm is going to be helpful in finding any rhythms that are out of sync. Keeping the eyes closed and keeping your attention on your breath. You'll start to inhale through the nose and let this breath go deep into the belly. As you breathe in through the nose, you want the belly to expand. And then as you exhale through the nose, you push your belly button back towards your spine. And you exhale out all the air. And then you'll keep the eyes closed, inhale through the nose, fill the belly up. And then as you exhale, pushing the belly button back towards your spine. And another breath like this, taking a deep breath into the belly through the nose. And exhaling out through the nose. And you'll keep your eyes closed. And this time you'll inhale through the nose into the belly in 4 seconds. Then you'll hold the breath in for 4 seconds. And then you'll exhale through the nose out for 4 seconds. And then you'll hold the breath out for 4 seconds. We'll do this 4 more times together, taking a deep breath in through the nose for 4 seconds, letting the breath move into the belly. Suspending and holding the breath here for 4 seconds, relaxing, hovering, and floating. Exhaling the breath through the nose for 4 seconds. And holding the breath out for 4 seconds. 3 more breaths like this. Inhale deep into the belly. Suspend the breath for 4 seconds. Exhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold the breath out for 4 seconds. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold the breath in for 4 seconds. Exhale for 4 seconds. Hold the breath out for 4 seconds. And 1 more breath like this, inhaling deep through the nose into the belly for 4 seconds. Hold the breath in for 4 seconds. Exhale through the nose for 4 seconds. And hold the breath out for 4 seconds. Keeping your eyes closed, you'll just return to the natural flow of your breath, inhaling in and out through the nose. And this is where you'll start to begin to bring your awareness and focus your attention on the rhythm of your heartbeat. Notice the pulsation in your chest or the pulse throughout your body and the subtle rhythms and inner workings of your physical body. The music that is always playing within you. Start to notice how you feel in your body. Observe any emotions that are present with you in this moment. And take note of any tabs you have open in the mind, any pop-ups that are trying to join the experience. Are you present here and now? Are you in your imagination? Are you in the past? Are you in the future? Gently, non-judgmentally, just observing, where are you? As any thoughts pop up, you can just curiously watch them come to the surface. You can acknowledge them and just return your focus to the breath. Inhaling and exhaling into the nose, letting the breath move deep into the belly, expanding the belly and contracting. And continue to observe the mental vibrations, the words, the visions that might come to mind, and let them come and go as they please. Just watch. Continue to observe the emotions. And continue to be aware of physical sensations in the body. And deeply listen to their invisible, inaudible impressions. On your next inhale, you can rub the palms together and place your hands over your eyes. You can take a deep inhale into the belly. This time you can exhale, let out a sigh. Slowly, you can remove the hands away from the eyes and gently open your eyes to reintroduce your eyes to the light. And just sit for a moment with your breath, with your body, with your eyes open. So this was a short meditation and mindfulness experience. With this experience, did you find it challenging? How was it for you to focus on being present? Did breathing help? Did you have a lot of thoughts? Did you get sleepy? Did you get fidgety? Did you feel bored? Did you notice anything? What did you notice? With that pen and paper that we grabbed earlier, you can write down anything that you noticed during this experience. Anything that came to you, anything that frustrated you. Just allow yourself to write it down. Everyone's experience of this will be different because the sounds of your thoughts are all different. Your biochemistry is unique to you, and we are all made up of different vibrations. There is no right answer to these questions. Just write honestly what you experienced. Our minds are so used to being filled and stimulated with our eyes open, looking at our computer screens or our phone screens, video game screens, virtual realities, and TVs. This is the time that we want to take to train our brains to take a break and to return to the present moment as often as possible to connect to our biorhythms so that we can get back in our flow. This is something you can easily do anytime you feel out of sync. You can just simply connect to your breath, watch all of the magical things that are rhythmically pulsating through you all of the time. Become aware of all of the systems that keep you breathing, your heart pumping, and start listening to the invisible and inaudible sonic impressions your thoughts and your emotions are having on the cells of your body. This is mindfulness. It's also a fun group activity if you're in a band or if you're having a songwriting session or you're working with other producers, musicians, and artists to get everyone on the same page, to get everyone synchronized. If you're in the session together, you guys can bring an awareness to your breath, to bring an awareness to your rhythm so that you can collectively harmonize before you even get started on your project. And the more frequently we take the time to check in with our frequencies like this, then we're better able to recognize when there's a pattern that is off or we're out of rhythm or we need to change up the rhythm. Again, rhythm is just repetition, and we can repeat healthy patterns and habits and we can repeat unhealthy patterns and habits. And recognizing which ones serve us better in the long run. When we consistently and repeatedly check in with ourselves, we can create a new rhythm in our minds, and this changes our brain waves, which then changes how we think and how we feel. And when we take the time to connect to our unique and natural rhythms, we become aware of all the rhythms that are in and out of sync in our lives. Because as the wise OG Nate Dogg once said, rhythm is life and life is rhythm. Today, we got to curiously explore together how mental health influences our music production process, how we can start to visualize the inaudible impact of our thoughts, and how mindfulness and meditation can reconnect us with our rhythms to get into a flow. As musicians, DJs, artists, audio engineers, music producers, you are all sonic explorers and scientists. Stay curious with exploring sound in holistic ways and noticing how your music production techniques and technologies can also be applied to your life. There will be a keywords resource list included with this video to explore more dimensions of sound and how it influences the mental health and physical health and overall well-being. There will also be a journaling prompt and instructions for the short breathing exercise that we did together so that you can do it on your own whenever you need it, or so that you can share it with friends and do it together. Again, rhythm is repetition. So in order to create a new rhythm, we need to repeat it. So repeating healthy habits is going to ingrain that rhythm into our lifestyle. It will become second nature, and it will become empowering so that it helps us to stay in the flow. It also allows us to recognize what patterns or rhythms we need to replace with a healthier pattern or rhythm. So taking this time to check in with yourself is a powerful thing to do during your studio sessions. You can make it a ritual before you sit down to create, just mindfully becoming aware of yourself. You can integrate it into a morning routine. You can create an evening routine out of it, just so long as you are repeating this pattern. Thank you so much for taking this sonic journey with me. And I look forward to hearing the music that gets created from this mindful space.
Wow, Amy, thank you so much, DJ KYMÅ. Are you up for a couple questions that we can ask you?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. What does mental health mean to you?
Oh, that's a loaded question. So it's as with health for other things like physical health, we go to the gym, we go to the doctor. I think mental health is checking up on what's going on in your mind often, and everything that we experience in life has to do with our mind and how we're perceiving the world. So I feel like mental health is the biggest and probably most important aspect of health that we should be paying attention to because it plays an important role in everything that we do, in the way that we feel, and how we experience ourselves in this world and how we're able to express ourselves. So it means to me taking the time to do the mental hygiene, just as we shower every day, like making sure we're going into the mind to see what's even there. We're consuming so much, especially with the internet and Netflix and all of these sorts of things, and recognizing that our mind is picking everything up and it's kind of putting it into a cloud and having to spring clean often to make sure that things aren't getting distorted, or we're not hanging on to something that isn't helping us.
So that leads us into, what do you do to support your mental health?
I drink a lot of water. I have learned in my own process, it's been a lot of trial and error. As I kind of briefly mentioned in the beginning, at a young age, I had experienced a lot of mental health issues, and I started to try to figure out what worked for me. And I think it's different for everybody, but what I'm finding works for me is becoming really aware of what I'm eating. I noticed how sugar affects me and my mental health. It makes me kind of have a headache, or it also can make me crash or not think clearly. I have like a cloudy or foggy thought process. Caffeine, also noticing how that influences and affects me. Also, just other sorts of foods I started to become hyper aware of. I also am aware of what I ingest sonically. So the things that I'm listening to, the things that I'm watching, the things that I'm reading, drinking a lot of water, staying hydrated, omegas, if you're into like supplements and stuff, I started to explore that, and that's good for brain health. So I just started to do a lot of research and kind of tried different things out. Meditation and breath work is always kind of the easiest go-to because you don't need to buy anything. You have your breath always with you. It can be challenging to convince the mind to just sit and not try to source other things outside of itself. But yeah, it's kind of like a toolkit.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what is one key action students can implement in their lives today to take care of their overall well-being?
I would say when in doubt, check in with your breath. That's going to be the most consistent rhythm, and that's going to be the most consistent thing that is with you. And the more often you're checking in with your breath, you'll be able to notice if your breath is shallow. What does that mean for you? When your breath is shallow, are you usually anxious? Are you having some sort of an emotional experience? And you start to see the correlation between the way that you're breathing and the way that you're experiencing life. So that's kind of immediately what I'll check in with first. And then that indicates or kind of dictates and allows me to decide what the action is, or maybe even the inaction. Sometimes it's just best not to do anything and just to sit and be with yourself and to be with your breath. So that's my go-to, and you can make music to breathe to. So
Do you have one simple breathwork technique that is easy and accessible at home that students can do when they're feeling overwhelmed or feeling stressed out?
Yeah, so the short breathing exercise that we kind of seamlessly wove into this session, it's called box breath, and I'll also include some instructions for that, but it's really simple. It's like a 4-beat inhale through the nose, then you hold the breath in for 4 beats, then you exhale 4 beats, and then you hold it out for 4 beats. And you can also visualize, if you like to have something to visualize, inhaling and creating kind of like a box with that breath. But that one's going to be simple and an easy count for the musicians.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you want to quickly tell us how we can keep up with you and your work and where we can follow you online?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at _KYMA, KYMA_. You can keep up with me there. I'm also on YouTube. I'm doing beats and breathwork. So again, these are sessions where we're going into my Ableton session on the production end, where you can see how I curate palettes and soundscapes for people to breathe to. And then we'll introduce a breathing exercise and we create a beat that we can breathe to. And it's just a fun way to use the sound and the technology that we're constantly working with in a unique way. So that's on YouTube, and Twitch. I'll live stream it sometimes.
Awesome. We will see you there. And this series is part of Department of Sound's Mental Health. Thank you so much for your time. And we're excited to share with our students.
Thank you, Department of Sound and Sonic Explorers. I am stoked to see what you create.